Hey, sometimes the way we look at things completely changes our perspective. For example, this is just a circle, right? But if I look at it this way, look what it becomes. Completely transformed depending on the way I look at things, right? So today I want to give you a different way to look at the fretboard. This is something I talk inside of the Beginner Guitarist Playbook that you can download for free, but more on that later. And hopefully everything starts making sense. We all know this chord, right? An A major chord. Okay, now I'm gonna take this dot away and I'm gonna color it red. And I'll tell you why. I'm gonna place that dot over here. That's an A note. What happens to this note if I move it over here? Maybe you don't know, but that becomes a B note. Cool, right? So very easy. I move from A, 2 frets up to B. Well, what happens if I move all the notes inside this chord shape, 2 frets up, and I place them just like this? Check it out. Just like that. What does that become now? If this note I moved over here and it became a B note, one note becomes another note, one chord shape is going to become another chord. Pretty easy, right? Now, here's what's exciting. I'm going to change this note over here for a blue note. And the reason is that I can move that blue note to create other chords. Let me get my marker right here. So I'm going to move this blue note 1 fret lower. And what does that become now? Becomes an A minor chord, correct? Well, if I've got a blue here, because it's the same shape, the colors are going to be in exactly the same order, right? So red on the 5th string, blue on the 2nd string. So this, I move here to create an A minor. What happens if I move this here? What's that going to become? A B minor, right? Awesome. Let's keep moving forward. So now I'm going to move this blue note over here. And this is going to become an A sus2. Well, following the same logic, we also have a blue note here. If I move it here, what is this going to become now? A B sus2. Pretty simple, right? Check it out. We're going to keep moving forward. Hopefully all this is going to make sense. So now I'm going to move this blue note, just one note difference over here, and this is going to become an A sus4, sometimes called just A sus. Okay, so if I move this blue note over here, what is this going to become? A B sus4. But there's even more things we can do to transform chord shapes across the fretboard. Now I'm going to be removing this one and coloring it yellow. Okay? Now I'm going to move this note over here. And I'm going to move it 2 frets lower in pitch. That now becomes an A7. Well, if I move this yellow note, same chord shape as the A, becomes a B. But now I'm going to move this yellow note over here. What is this going to become? A B7, correct? Awesome. Let's create another chord. I'm going to move it, instead of 2 frets, just 1 fret. That's going to become an A major 7 chord. Beautiful chord. Well, if I place that yellow note in exactly the same place in this shape that I moved over here, what is that going to become? B major 7. Here's the beautiful thing. We can combine the 2 notes we're moving together. What is this going to become? I'm going to move it here too. That created a sus4, right? But I also had my major 7 combination over here. So this is going to become an A major 7 sus4. Beautiful chord. Amazing sounding chord. What is this going to become then? B major 7 sus4. Exactly the same shape, exactly the same note combinations, move 2 frets up the fretboard. Pretty cool, right? But it doesn't end there. So I'm gonna put everything here. Let me just tape this out. Yeah? Check it out. This is gonna blow you away. We said this note is an A, and we moved it over to B and created a B chord. What happens if I move it 1 fret higher? It's going to become another note, right? A, B, C note now. Well, if I throw in my color combination over there, now I have a C chord. Awesome, right? But what happens if I move this red and all the other notes over here? A, B, C, follow the alphabet. A, B, C, D. That's a D chord, but I'm using an A-shaped moved across the fretboard. Hope this makes sense. You can see how easy it is to transform this shape into other chords and then move them across the fretboard. If you want to know more on how this works, and hopefully it gives you a different perspective and you finally understand how the fretboard works, go and download this book. It's for free. The link is going to be somewhere in the description, somewhere over there. The link is going to be there to download this little book. I'll see you inside.